Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome to our Mind the Moment Tuesday morning mindfulness gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. As everyone knows, this is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to talk with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe, Palacino, and I'm happy to be here this morning with Liz Maillett, mindfulness instructor and longtime meditator. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Nice to be with you this morning and nice to see everybody joining. So today we will start off with a question for the group, and then Liz will lead us in a guided meditation exercise and practice, and then share some thoughts with us. And after that, we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers. So if you could go to the bottom of your screen and open up the chat. And if you notice on the chat, there's a drop-down menu where you can choose to view both the panelists and the attendees' comments. So you can click that drop-down menu if you want to see both the comments from the group as well as our comments. And that's about it. So Liz, what question do you have this morning for our group?
Good morning, everyone. So my question this morning is, what do you notice in your body right now? Feel free to close your eyes for a second just to notice what's happening in your body right now. And if you're willing to just chime in the chat box with what you notice.
Okay. Nervousness, fuzzy head, thudding of my heart, thirsty, tension in my shoulders, soreness, feeling fresh. Yeah, there's a myriad of different feelings coming around. Shoulder pain, shallow breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of different feelings coming in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I noticed too that some of those that we experience as what we're noticing about our body are also related to mental states. Nervousness, for example, is a feeling in the body, but also a mental state. And aren't they so inextricably intertwined, our mental states, our emotions, and sensations in our body? And Suzanne was kind enough to let me know that in recent episodes of this gathering, there has been some focus on the body and, body scan meditation and stuff. And I certainly don't want to duplicate what those other sessions have zoomed in on, but I did want to share an aspect of my own practice these days that I guess I think of, our focus on the body is sort of like peeling an onion. There's always more and more layers to it. And so I wanted to share just two aspects that have been part of my own focus just now. And that is just the basic skill of interoception and using practice to cultivate that skill of interoception. The skill of interoception is just noticing what is happening in the body. I guess it's an aspect in our 5 or 6 basic senses. It's an aspect of the sense of touch, where you can sense what's going on in your body. There are some nerve endings in the muscles. So for example, I can close my eyes and basically bring my 2 fingers together. My hands know where they are in space by virtue of this sense of interoception. And then how helpful that interoception can be for emotion regulation. So, for example, to go back to the person who said feeling nervousness, and just noticing, if anyone wants to like close their eyes right now and just notice, are there emotions that are present now that have a physical component? It is the case scientifically, I think, that all of our emotions have a manifestation in our bodies. We just often don't notice it. And the using interoception for emotion regulation is sort of this fuzzy skill of noticing what we're feeling and attending to those bodily sensations with some care, not with a goal to get rid of the emotion or to solve or to do anything, but just to sit with the physical sensation of the emotion. The other thing that helps me do that is to incorporate some movement in my practice before actually sit. So I hope that some of you may be willing to do this. There's no need to stand to do some of the movements I'm going to offer to engage us in. You can do these sitting down right where you are. But if you feel comfortable standing, let's go ahead and do that. And first, just notice how it's different standing from sitting. What's different? What do you feel in your body? And we can begin just with feet probably about hip width apart. Somebody mentioned tight shoulders, sitting or standing, but bringing attention to the shoulders and deliberately letting them sort of melt downward a little bit, melt down the back. And when the shoulders are a little bit down, the chest opens a little bit more, which is very helpful for the lungs and the breath. So just stand and breathe for a moment, noticing how it feels. And then if you're able from a sitting or a standing position, just to lift the arms up over the head into what yogis call a prayer mudra, where the fingers are together, either overlapping or each touching the fingers of the opposite hand. And then if this is okay for your back, just do a gentle, slight back bend, lifting your gaze to the ceiling, noticing what's right for your body, not doing anything that doesn't feel right. And then back to a straight up position and bringing the arms down, but keeping the hands together and bending the knees into a chair pose with, I forget what this mudra is called, but I can feel this in my legs for just a breath. So I'm going to have to stand up straight now. And notice any exertion that resulted in before we go into a forward bend, sort of the opposite bend in the back, running the hands down the fronts of the legs. And when you get to the right stopping place, just stop and let the shoulders and arms and head hang ragdoll style. And enjoy the stretch in the lower back and in the backs of the legs. And then returning the hands to the fronts of the legs, slowly running the hands up the legs back to a standing position. And breathing here. And noticing how that's a slight what yogis call an inversion, a slight rushing of the blood to the head in the forward bend, which creates sensation and movement actually in the body, inside. See what you notice with your interoception. And let's do one or two more of these at your own pace. So arms slowly raising upward to where hands join. Slight back bend with arms extended above the head, eyes to the ceiling. Back to vertical. Arms slowly down. I think this is called Yoni Mudra. Chair pose with knees bent. Back to standing. Hands come down to the fronts of the legs in preparation for a gentle forward bend. And then just letting the head and arms hang for a breath or two before returning the hands to the fronts of the legs and coming back up to a standing position. And seeing if you can keep your attention in your body. We'll move now to a seated position in your chair, on a cushion, on the floor. Beginning our period of sitting meditation with a breath or two. Cleansing breath or two, and then allowing the breath to return to normal. And I invite you in this seated meditation to see if you can keep your attention in your body. Imagining perhaps that this body is a vessel of warm water, and that your attention is salt being sprinkled into the warm water, and the salt dissolves and infuses the entire vessel of warm water. Noticing Just the feeling of the weight of your body. Noticing your innate balance. How your body centers itself in this seated position. Most noticeable if you shift a little bit left or right, noticing interoceptively that feeling of being out of balance and returning. This zooming in on the solidity, weight of one's body can be helpful even in a stressful moment, because the body is sort of a calming influence on our minds this way. And as with any meditation, when the mind takes over and wanders off, just gently, as Tara Healy likes to say, gently escorting the mind back to the object of our attention, in this case, the body. Escorting it back kindly every time it wanders off. And as we sit with our attention in the body, like salt dissolving in a vessel of warm water, I offer an acronym that I got from Lama Willa, the Lama at the Wonderwell Mountain Refuge Retreat Center in New Hampshire. The acronym is GROUND. G, grounding our attention in the body, grounding the body in its place. R is resting here. O is open, opening the heart, the chest, perhaps even opening the eyes a little bit. U is untangling. N, nurturing. D, dissolving. Grounding, relaxing, opening, untangling, nurturing, dissolving. And to bring this brief sitting to a close, I'll count back from 3, 2, 1. Allowing your eyes to open. Allowing your body to shift. Allowing your attention to come back. To your screen, to each other.
Thank you, Liz. How did folks like that, or how did that feel with folks as far as doing that practice, focusing on the body and having a little bit of that time to stretch?
I'm seeing some comments.
Soothing. Standing was refreshing. Yeah, I think it's nice to mix up our position. You know, sometimes our body doesn't want to be sitting, especially, let's say, if we're Zooming most of the day. Sometimes standing can really be a better way to work with our bodies than sitting in our practice.
Someone has asked Suzanne to put the acronym in the chat box. So I'm just going to type those words quickly if
Sure.
you
Yeah,
take a minute.
absolutely. Yeah, I think coming into the body, I find with practice, always brings us into the present moment. You know, the body is always in the present moment. So if we're lost in thoughts or planning or any other activity while we're meditating, it can be very helpful to come back into the body.
I spelled dissolving wrong.
I think everybody gets the picture.
One person in the chat, I can't find it now, but said that it sometimes it brings fear into play. And it's interesting, I think, this happens to me a lot when sometimes when I'm sitting meditating, if there's something going on in my life that I've been sort of, like keeping at bay or pushing down or trying to regulate, you stop for a minute in meditation and it comes flooding in. Like, I think that's a common experience for many people. Part of the thing for me that's hard to get used to is, okay, so the fear is related to something concrete that I have all these action steps that I want to take about it. But part of the opening up of meditation is to just for a moment not try and solve, and to just sort of sit with the feeling, to allow the body, to allow ourselves to feel the feeling without in that moment feeling like we need to do anything about it. It seems organically like it's part of the signaling quality of the emotion, is to let ourselves hear it, that helps to process it. Even if we separate out the action steps that may have to happen subsequently from the experience and the just sitting with the feeling in the moment.
Yeah. I guess if we separate out the resistance to that feeling, then we can feel, the natural feeling of that fear. And we may find it will minimize, or it might dissolve, or it might take on a different feeling for us. So yeah, it's all really interesting what happens with the body when we start to notice these things. Feeling the fear and be aware of the fear, but not do anything. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And to be caring for ourselves with the feeling of fear, I find can really, it may not change one bit the action steps that need to be taken, but it might bring to light an aspect of the feeling that I hadn't noticed before. Sometimes it does lead to creativity attacks, different action steps that might be taken to address a particular situation. But all of it, and the caring, I think, caring for oneself most of all, I think, can be helpful, beneficial.
Mm. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
better than being clueless about whatever emotion is happening.
Mm. Yeah, I think allowing it to be what it is.
Someone writes, accepting the fear, which I think speaks to your point, Suzanne, about not resisting or noticing the resistance.
I feel like that's natural to resist. But when we're quiet, I think we have a chance to look at it differently.
Yeah.
I think when we go about our day, we were like, oh no, we don't have time. We have to push that away.
Yeah.
As we sit, we realize, you know what, we do have time. And we can be with it however it is.
Someone writes, I find when you unplug, your mind is freed to resolve, solve hard problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Someone else writes, I guess I'll have to get up a bit earlier. It felt good to juice the joints before meditation. Much easier to get settled. I find that too. I wake up every day sore, and to do a little stretching before I sit really helps. And it does get things flowing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Juice the joints, she says.
And don't forget, Harvard Pilgrim has those yoga classes. I think they're like 5:15 or sometime around that. If you check our website, you can juice the joints different times of the day. So we're so glad that everybody has joined us this morning. And thank you for all of your comments and really openness to a different style of practice. And big thank you to Liz for joining us this morning. I think that was really helpful for folks to try something different. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Suzanne, for leading us, and thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah, and we'll be back here on Thursday at 8:30 with Tara Healy. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks everyone again for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.